Started with single family homes, Memphis, Cleveland, Birmingham, St. Louis. Built the business up. It's a turnkey company, so like Vince said. So we buy properties, renovate them, rent them out, then resell them as turnkey rentals. We do 100 homes a year, and I just started getting into multifamily. And there was actually some pictures of the apartment building. It just finished the renovation, but yeah.
We'll finish up early and pass them around, but since, I mean, we're both real estate investors and our job is to negotiate 24/7. I bet you I could negotiate getting this place for free since the microphone didn't work and the HDMI cable didn't work. I'm pretty sure we're walking out here for free tonight. Anyways, but yeah, John, we'll get a chance to pass around pictures. He just finished up his a couple units of your 20-unit apartment, and it looks really good. It just can't really see it at scale right now. No worries. Go ahead.
John Kuznick, general contractor, Cleveland, Ohio. I like it here though, nice and sunny. 38 years in the business. Actually got my start in California, in Sunnyvale, California, and just progressed back home over the years. Met Jared, he's my partner now, and any questions, feel free to ask me about the Cleveland construction.
All right.
Thanks for coming out, John.
Yeah, for sure. So John's here for vacation. Obviously, you know, it's been really, thanks for breaking the swear. It's shitty weather right now in Ohio. We have to deal with a lot of exterior issues, and you know, you're under contract on a house, the home inspection comes back, you have to replace the garage roof. You know, the buyers say, I want you to do this before closing, and we say, well, look at the weather report, it's freezing cold the next 8, we deal with this crap all the time, and buyers are always very picky, and they always are trying to control transactions, and in reality, they're just, you know, they got 50% of the power. So anyways, we went through a couple intros about ourselves, and even though you can't really see this, the main reason, I'll tell you basically, that it excites me to do these type of meetups is because I have been actually financially and in the real world burned by contractors a lot, and I've been in this since I was 25 when me and Erica were living up in Akron, and I decided that I didn't want to practice law anymore. I wanted to put my head down and actually make money on the side flipping houses. I hired a contractor, David, who I've since fired for, you know, many reasons, but I started flipping houses, just basic kitchen, bathroom, easy flips. I got to the point where I realized that either the bids weren't right, or I was paying too much for certain things. It just didn't look right, and at the end I was waiting too long and I was paying too much money, and it was just stressful. So, like, you know, all these people out there holding checks, you know, when you finish a big flip, it might be 100,000 plus, but in reality there's very little profit. So got to the point where I just said, screw this, I quit my job, and then made out here to California. Got back into flipping. There was about a year where I took off because I had a back injury, and then I met John in 2017. And it was very quickly that I realized that John was a trustworthy, truthful guy. Very much was more knowledgeable than all my other contractors. A lot of these guys, I guess you'd call them like fly-by-night painters, or, you know, just, I don't know what else you'd call them, but these guys make it seem like they have a very broad skill set when you meet them. And then when it comes to construction, you show up on the job site and there's electrical wires hanging around, there's painted ceiling fans. I mean, stuff that I could even tell is not right. You know, it's usually breadcrumbs to a bigger issue, whether money's being mismanaged, and just for being frank, you know, either guy will take the money and shoot it right up his arm, or just totally take it and leave, and then you can't get a hold of him. I've been burned in pretty much every way you can think of, and this is, you know, 2013 to 16 basically, learning the ropes, hiring whoever I could find, Angie's List, whatever, and you know, I got to the point where I was like, damn, this is kind of rough, I don't know if I could flip forever. And then I met John, and we just kind of built our core crew. We do flips mostly in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights, on the east side of Cleveland, where I grew up in Mayfield. We just finished a flip in Mayfield that was okay, but yeah, I don't know if John, you want to tell them a little bit about your background and kind of how you started, like what kind of experience you have.
So any Allstate claims that would come through the company would come to my desk, and at any given time I'd have about $3 million worth of the insurance work on my desk, you know, for the guys that work with me. So I've been there. Also water, I'm water certified, you know, for mold or, you know, whatever. So I've been in just about every facet you could be in construction. So this is something new, the real estate end of it. I really haven't worked with investors and or realtors much. It's the construction end really isn't that much different, maybe a little bit, but I'm learning a lot from you guys, from Jared especially. I mean, he's taught me a lot, which I'm an old guy, so I didn't think you could teach me new tricks, but he has, so I really enjoy this. It's something new, and it just kind of re-sparked something new in me, which I really like.
Talk about in general, finding and vetting new contractors is a very, very like popular question on Bigger Pockets, and it's like thrown around a lot. So like, Antoine, you want to tell people a little bit about how to find good contractors, a little bit about where you found yours and how to work with them?
Yeah, so for me, I do all rental properties. So when I am going into a new market, the way that I started, I was in college. I moved all my classes to the night time from 5 to 10 p.m. and because I wanted to not get a job after graduating. And then the next thing was I was trying to flip houses in LA, so I was placing all these offers and nothing ever worked, and I couldn't figure out how to flip in LA with just 40 grand in the bank. Then heard through Bigger Pockets, through podcasts, networking, that investing out of state was the way to go. Started looking out of state, but then it's like, okay, which market do I invest in? So you start doing all of that homework, and then it's building the team on the ground, which takes the longest amount of time. To find a team, for me, I wanted to focus on rental properties. So whether it be single family or multifamily, the first thing for me was the property management company, because they're going to be really in charge of the property for the long term, right? You may have a renovation project or an acquisition, but then the property management company is going to take it from month 2 till forever, right? They're going to be very involved in that project for a very long time. So I brought that property management. The first thing for me to find was property management and bring them from day one all the way to the end of the life of the project. And what I mean by that is I would find a property management company. I would tell them what I'm trying to do. Hey, I'm trying to buy houses, renovate them, rent them out, and I want you guys to be the property management company forever. So they already see the dollar signs, but then you show them a property that needs renovation, and you're like, but in order for you to start making money, I need you to help me get it from point A to point B for you to start making money. So do you have any contractors you can recommend?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, guys, seriously, this is pretty like informal. If you want to leave and go to your family or whatever, or ask a question, like by all means, go ahead.
How do you find your property manager? And I was going to ask, and I'm sorry, John. So thank you for coming out. Sure. Appreciate it. I'm going to be in Ohio in 2 weeks, so
give me a call.
I would love to. I'd love to take you to dinner on me. But what I want to know is like, it's going to actually be the same question for both of you. So how do I find? Is there something like the National Association of Property Managers? How do I find a good property manager? And then the same question to you, John, is how can I vet, other than say Better Business Bureau or Google reviews or Yelp reviews, is there anything, like for attorneys, we have Martindale Hubble, that lets you know, hey, this guy's the gold standard. Do you have something like that in your industry, that one that's new can say, hey, okay, at least somebody's vetted them up to a point?
You want to go, Antoine?
Sure. Standpoint, no, it's a shot in the dark. My guys don't even have a Google or a Facebook page because they're busy working. So you can't even call my contractors and hire them for a job because they're busy doing my projects.
No, I have to tell you, I have business cards. It's the first time I had a business card, and I can't even tell you how many years. I've never had one. I just didn't need to. I don't. Very few people have my phone number.
And I would definitely say, yeah, I don't want people to have your phone. I mean, originally when we weren't like partners, I was like, yeah, this is my guy. But I would say other investors, like to a point, like you can easily find like other good window guys and paint, like, but a general contract, somebody who can manage other people, managing people's tough. So like maybe like for a rental project that just needs carpet, paint, basic stuff would be the easiest one to like almost test somebody. Have you ever like, Antoine, like tested, like given someone an at-bat and like, yeah, so I'm gonna show you a picture of what we do. And sometimes it's like you don't even need it to be that detailed, because like if you've done something 15 projects with someone, you don't want them to waste time writing up an estimate. You say, hey, how much is it going to be? Sometimes it's just an email. If you have familiarity with people, like, am I right? Like, how much familiarity do you have with these people? Like,
now I'll close on a deal with a text message over $20K, and then you close. That's it.
I've done that.
But doing the first. Yeah, the first one, I mean, if you're first time working with a contractor, I want the most detailed thing you've ever seen.
Right.
Yeah. And then you can nitpick.
I'm finding contractors that'll give detail like that. So I'm just curious, is there a trick, or is there, and that was my question for you, John, is there something that you want to see from an investor that says, this guy's serious enough for me to put an hour's worth of time into it? If they went a legit
No, we've been dealing with that, you know, the past couple of months. You know.
It's just my week-to-week problem.
Yeah. So here's our estimate. This is just a piece of it, but you can see it draws out.
So what I do is I put in your zip code, and that's how my estimate is generated. For the labor burden and for the materials, based on a zip code.
It's software that the insurance industry used to estimate materials and jobs.
Oh, so once it code, the estimate will be higher than the next week.
It depends on your zip code.
So is labor that much more in a?
It varies, yes,
I mean,
it does.
in the same town, but just zip code to zip code.
Well, you know, like in the Cleveland area, I could put in like a suburb, and it'll still come up the Cleveland area, so it's more generalized to.
More like general vicinity.
Yeah, but I mean, as you go further out, you could put in, you know, a specific zip code, and it will break it down. But it uses Home Depot pricing, and it updates it quarterly, and the labor is based on that actual zip code in that area.
So the reason we've been running with the software is because, you know, you asked me about, you know, what do you look for in an investor? Like as a contractor, what are you looking for? And this guy, you know, to be straight up, has been asking us to do this construction on a 8-unit apartment building. It's in Cleveland, you know, it's in an up and kind of fringe area, but it's a big project. It's like multiple $100,000 project, and it's not cheap. And if we don't trust the person, and you know, if we're going through negotiating with somebody and we ask them for something, like, hey, we just kind of want to know where the money's coming from, which is a pretty typical question that we're starting to ask other investors. Like, is it just a construction draw? Like, are we going to be waiting on like a hard money lender to go do an inspection just so we can get paid? That's not good. We want to know that there's going to be money to pay our guys, because like, we're not a bank. You know, we can't be fronting money, and typically, you know, the HVAC guy's 50% up front, 50% at the end. He wants to be paid instantly. So familiarity, like trust, is a huge thing, and I've learned like it's just so key to be able to trust the other person. So like from a contractor standpoint, you know, we look at it as like, even if you lie to us about something silly, and if you lie to us about something that like doesn't really even matter, it's like breadcrumb, so like a bigger problem. Like if you tell me like, oh yeah, you know, I closed on this last year and like I just hired this guy, and then we go to the project and he said, oh, I've been working with this guy for years, and like just, you really have to be in tune to what sort of details people are telling you, because if you're not, you know, you can very easily tell that someone's either just not right or, but that's not to say about this particular issue. It's just, we want to make sure that we can get paid. And on their end, they want to make sure that the work is getting done. So it's like a constant kind of thing, and it's hard because it's the first time we're working together on a, you know, 6-figure project. It's expensive. So we want to be comfortable with each other, and it's just like how we met. You know, we sit down, we talk for a little bit, you learn about their families or their work history. Have they worked with investors before? You know, that's a big deal. So getting to know them.
So you had a form going around for everybody's name and email,
Yeah.
right? So that would be one way for you to get these slides out to everybody, so that way you get all their information.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So
yeah, I'm gonna send you guys these slides. Like, I can't really go through them, but yeah, just make sure you sign the sign-up sheet. Did everyone get a chance to sign it?
if you want those
Yeah.
slides,
Yeah, if you want those slides, just email me. We'll have all our information at the end. But you got a couple of.
So
Yeah.
So I went to the Apartment Association event in Los Angeles yesterday in Long Beach, and one of the vendors, it was actually kind of cool. They listed a spec sheet of, hey, this is, if we're gonna replace this, this is what we want. You know what I mean? Is there something that, I mean, obviously it's gonna matter region for region and all that stuff, but is there something like that that's out there that
For
somebody
materials?
that does?
For material, when I actually write the estimate, or, well, yeah, this program, what I could do is I could break it down and give you, break it down by category. So demolition would be maybe 10% of the job, and it's X amount of dollars. It breaks everything down by category. I could break it down per room, well, how much you're putting in per room. I can give you your actual budget and show you what your actual budget is. It shows you all the numbers. It gives you labor breakdown per square foot. I could break it down however you want. This program is the same program that most insurance companies use over the United States. If you have a fire or water damage, it's the same program. So this is the same thing you would have them write an estimate if they're going to come to your home, God forbid, and with a water damage or a fire. So this is the exact same program that I use.
Maybe, and this is gonna sound weird,
So
I'm
it's,
always thinking about business, so
yeah.
would you
Right.
So I've got property in Missouri.
Sure.
So let's say I want to rehab the property in Missouri. Would you guys, with your construction company, charge me a consult fee if I said, hey, look, this is what I want done?
Right.
You're going to sub it out to somebody else.
Can you give me an estimate? Like, just
Yes.
is this guy?
Yes.
Is this guy fucking me or not?
Isn't who was here? Who was Kyle?
Kyle.
He's not
another
here.
Guy,
He's not here. He left. I was gonna. I may go to Connecticut and do the same thing for him. I'll write the estimate. I'll need all his information, and then I'll go there, spend a few days, do my measure, do everything, I can, and then come back, put all that into the computer, and then come up with his estimate, and base it on whatever he wants. I mean, he may have a Verizon store going in, so I'll get the plans and try to work that into the estimate for him.
Yeah.
And
we learned pretty quickly
so
that
yeah.
the consulting thing is like an option.
So this is a national-based program that I can use. I could put that zip code in, and I can go there and come up with an estimate for you.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a lot of extra money for you, especially if I'm like in a different state that you're not
Yeah.
in, and I'm willing to pay some money for your expertise to say, hey, look, Vince, this guy's bid, it's pretty good, it's righteous, and that gives me my peace of mind.
It gives you a starting point. So when you're out there with the general contractor that's actually going to run it, and then for his subs, you know exactly what it's going to cost before they even give you their estimate, because you want their estimate also to see.
That's a good thing too, Antoine. Can you go into how you kind of deal with that with investors, especially new people, like when you first start working with people, negotiating materials, like, because you kind of know what materials you're putting into, right?
Yeah, because the quality of our renovations, no matter what city, is going to be the same. So kind of what I did is I recently got into St. Louis. I did a 4-unit building there like a couple years ago, but then I just started doing the single family. And then somebody wrote me a bid, and I was like, your bid doesn't make any, Memphis is a 3-hour drive. How are the costs 3 times the price, right? So I knew what the cost should be because I had done all these projects in Memphis. So I just showed them a screenshot of, sent them all the bids. I'm like, there's 15 bids where the cost is this. Why is yours, so much higher? And you may not have that experience, but you can network with people on bigger pockets, ask them how much it's supposed to cost, or go out to that market and network with a bunch of different people to ask them what that should be or how much it should cost. If you have a property management company, again, they're going to know the cost of everything. So if the contractor's telling you something, banking against the property management company and say, hey, why is this HVAC, $15,000? Something's wrong.
How'd you say you found that property management company?
So all my property management companies, I forgot to answer that.
Yeah, I remember those.
So property management companies, the way that I've found them has been just booking a flight 4 weeks out and then calling go on Google, say St. Louis Property Management, and then just cold call every single one of them and say, hey, I'm coming to St. Louis in 4 weeks. I'm a California investor. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm coming in 4 weeks. Do you want to meet for coffee or lunch or whatever? And then it's not really, so the way that I chose my property management company was whoever I got along with the best, whoever I felt like I could talk to every single day, not just who had the biggest company. There was plenty of guys who had 3,000 doors under management, but they were just older guys who, were on their way out of the company and their son was going to take over or something like that. So I found property management companies that had less than 500 doors, that were young and hungry, and they were like, or 26 or 28, but that was like part of their growth plan. And it was more like, I'm going to do a house a month with you, and that scaled up to 10 houses a month. And now I'm they're helping me grow my. So you're growing together. Whereas if you're working with a huge property management company, you're just a number on an Excel spreadsheet. And they're not going to hop in when shit hits the fan. I can call my property management company. They'll come and fix it because I am that kind of client now.
What are like the skill sets you look for in a property manager? Like bare bones, like what are you looking for, like besides trust?
A good property management software, and then at least one property manager for every 50 to 100 doors. So there's only so much that, no matter how hard you work, there's only so much one person can handle. 100 doors under management, somebody who's young and hungry, who has a good software to back them because it's going to save them a lot of time, and then the ability to hire other people to manage those properties as they come up too.
What's good property management software?
The best one that I've seen is Appfolio.
Have you used Tenant Cloud at all?
No. But just some people are like, you know, do their property management on a Google spreadsheet.
Yeah. I personally don't like Propertyware or Appfolio.
Yeah, so those are the two. Yeah. Well,
I'll say as an investor, I don't like Appfolio because as an owner, I don't like it because the property manager has all this control over it, and they can decide what to show and what not to show the owner.
yeah.
And the owner, I haven't seen it. I don't see as much as I'd like to. So I guess maybe I'd like it more if the property management company showed me more.
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard for them to. The issue with those softwares too is they don't see the other side as well.
Right.
So they're like, "We sent you this. What the hell did you get over there?" kind of thing. So I've sat down with property management company at a meeting or whatever, or shared my screen, and be like, "Here's what I'm seeing. I want to see these kinds of." So when you're first getting started, yeah, because the accounting will be all whack and it won't make sense. But then you sit down with them and they show you why it came up. So there's some growing pains for sure when start up. Yeah.
Just a brief question. I know a lot of contractors, they provide materials. If we provide the materials, if we hire you guys, is that something you work with, or is that how do you guys do that?
Well, I think John's really only worked with an investor with me. You were with Allstate for a long time. They had materials list, right?
The only reason I'm asking is because I worked before with contractors, and I got recurring too.
Sure.
Well,
Of course.
Well, my subcontractors, I always sub the labor, except for maybe my HVAC guy. He's worked with me many years, 15 plus years, so I will pay him, you know, upfront 50% or whatever it is. But if there's a subcontractor that, you know, I just recently met, past 3-4 years, I will just give them the labor portion. I always purchase materials, because if I have to give somebody a third, and that's a portion of that is materials and labor, even if they walk, you know, because they have an alcohol problem or a drug problem or whatever, for whatever problem, at least if I just give them the labor, I just have that small portion, because I base it on what they can produce. So in the first week, if they do, you know, $1,000 worth of work, no problem, here's $1,000. But if I have to also give them materials and they walk, then they still have my material money. So I like to keep it back. I like to control the materials, me personally, always.
You like to buy the materials?
Yes, I like to control the materials, yes.
Especially for
Right.
you know, when we're looking at doing like, you know, four unit apartment or something.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of
It's
stuff,
a lot of material.
Drywall, paint, like, and we
You
have
know,
to-
and if I buy in volume, like kitchen cabinets, you know, I get a great deal on kitchen cabinets. You know, so if I was to sub that out, of course they're going to want to put their 10, 20, 30% on top of it, where I have that power right now because I buy all the cabinetry.
Same for our apartment building too. When I was under contract, I walked every single unit, and I counted which one needs new flooring, which one needs new blah blah blah. Then as soon as 3 units went vacant, then I bought all the for all those units that needed the flooring. So I have a little basement space in the apartment building. We use the tile needed flooring and the bathroom, whatever, but then we bought them all in bulk, like you're saying. Cut your cost way down, and your trips too. Because then you can tell the contractor, go pick it in the basement and go bring it up to the whatever.
Buy kitchen cabinets from Home Depot, you might get 2 from this one. I have to go across town to get the other one, and then across town again to get.
That is one of the biggest time wasters with what we do, and I'm sure you see, I mean, guys going back and forth to Lowe's or Home Depot, it's like, that is a lot of time wasted, and not only time for your project, but time that you might be paying people.
For appliances too, because we bought all new appliances for the units that were vacant, so we waited until there was some discount on like a Monday or a Tuesday, and then we bought all 3 at the same time and then had them delivered, and they were all on the same delivery date. So nobody has to drive around, just show up on this day.
We've been buying them at Best Buy. Best Buy's been really good for us, actually. Yeah, and they have like an account manager there. She'll call you and say, hey, look, like we have a delay that's going here. Like for whatever reason, this Best Buy has been really good for me. I don't know.
You don't buy used?
No, well, for flips. I mean, like I said, me and Antoine do different things. I mean, what do you buy? I'm curious.
Like I buy from a guy named Big John. Big John's
Yeah.
used appliances, but he
Sure.
gets new stuff also.
Huh.
I don't know where it comes from.
Well, probably, yeah, with scratch or dent, you know. Yeah. But,
It was stolen out of one of your units.
but, yeah, we haven't had any break-ins or
I have a
anything.
really good experience though with buying from used appliance stores, but a lot of the
Interesting.
time it's brand new. So this
Yeah.
is on it.
Well, here's what I do. When I do a flip, and these are, I mean, we just sold a flip for like 270. Like that's a lot of money in this neighborhood. It's a big property. We put a lot of money into this house, and the end buyer is typically like, you know, top of the. So I have all the warranty sheets, and I was like, hey, if you buy this house, you're gonna get, you know, 3-year warranties on all your appliances. You can't get that from Big John, right? So you're almost selling people comfort and trust with a flip, whereas like if you're got someone moving into an apartment, they're not gonna care if, you know, black or white appliances, you know, have been used multiple times, as long as they're clean and look nice. You know, how much do you pay? That's like a really good for a set, like a full set of.
Full set will be like $1,000 for bucks for apartment size. Yeah. Apartment size.
Black or white.
Just a stove with a stove, microwave range,
yeah.
And then you get a fridge for $600.
Yeah. So like one of the things I definitely wanted to touch on was like, how to really make sure that stuff's getting done on time and how much stuff should take. Like, so for you buy something for 20 grand, you need to do kitchen and bathroom, like some exterior work, whatever. How long, like timeline, do you usually have on them? And like, how do you make sure that work is getting done? Do you get pictures? Like, how does that work for you?
So for us, a good way to look at it is the contractor should be spending anywhere from 5 to 10 grand a week in terms of their burn. So $20,000 project, 3-week project. $20,000 project should be 2 to 3 weeks. So that's kind of how I look at it. And if a contractor, you know, gives you a 20 grand budget, they're like, oh, it's going to be 90 days to do this budget. Something's wrong with that. What was your other question?
I don't know. Let's let John keep, because I know you can touch on that a lot.
Well, I mean, it's a little different for me because all my guys have worked for me 15 plus years. So they know what I'm looking for. They know how I am. So I never have to babysit my guys. It would be a subcontractor, but even my subcontractors have been with me many years.
Well, like someone new, we had our electrician who's pretty new, we kind of had to like.
Yeah, I have a little bit of trouble with my electrician. However, you know, he went on vacation and he put one of the guys in charge, and it so happened this guy really stepped up to the plate. And so when Abner came back, I said, I like you, Abner, and I like that you're very thorough and you're, you know, good company. He's got really good rapport with the cities, and all the cities like him, all the building inspectors. So I said, but I'm sorry, I just want to deal with Scott. And so now Scott is on every one of my jobs by beck and call. And that's what I want. Because if I need something done, I want it done right now. I'm not going to wait 2 weeks or whatever. I want it done now. And Abner always kind of put me on the back burner. He's the owner. He's allowed to. But he almost lost our contract with him because we have a lot of work. And I can keep
one electrician busy,
probably 2 electricians 40 hours a week. That's how much work we have. So, you know, and I wasn't getting that attention, and so I almost let him go. But now he gets it. But all my other guys have been with me many years. So I don't have trouble with them.
Monica.
So, but from an investor perspective, right, see, you're the GC, and you're kind of very hands-on, you're on the project.
Oh, yes.
Know what needs to be done. But
yes.
From our perspective, right, how do we as an investor know how hands-on we need to be and how things are being done and how often do we need to be checking in with the contractor, right, or the GC of it? I mean, because I don't want to be kind of talking to every individual sub. I want to hope that my
sure.
is doing their job, but I also want to understand, be able to know if something's not looking right.
Sure. I mean, I guess it would depend on the size of the job. Weekly, or you know, every other day. I do send texts. I do send photos. You know, depending on the investor, however they want me to report back to them, I don't have a problem. I don't let any of my guys report back to anybody. I do all that. I take care of it. Jared, you know, we talk from sun up to sundown and beyond. So, you know, we communicate very well.
We're trying to build a big business. You know, we were just doing stuff for me when we met almost 2 years ago, and now we're doing 50-50 flips with other investors. You know, something gets under contract. I got 2 deals this week. I put them on Instagram. Investors are asking me about it. So it's like, you know, getting 50-50 things done. And now when we're looking at doing stuff for other investors, it's like, you know, we need to keep the machine rolling, and until we get him either an assistant or like, you know, Antoine could definitely be able to tell me like how to hire like a project manager. I'd rather hire some young hustler in Cleveland who's like new, wants to learn about real estate, because like I'll tell you, it's is, yeah, anybody can take photos, text people, make phone calls for you, call the city, pick up materials. I mean, if you order materials, you just need someone to go pick it up. That's like two-thirds of the battle, you know? So like finding someone who's young, like who wants experience, like I'm sure if you post on Bigger Pockets, there's so many keyword alerts set up. Like if you typed Memphis, you know, real estate investor, or California real estate investor investing in Memphis wants to hire a kid to whatever, there's so many younger people, 18, 19, who are, you know, what, under the years or whatever, are interested and would learn a lot from the experience. And you say, hey, I can't pay you $20 an hour, but I can give you this, or equity in a project or something, to take care of stuff for me. So,
but the way that, the way that I've done it, I've put ads on Craigslist and said, hey, I need somebody to go drive by this address and take photos of this before I pay out. So you can have somebody drive somewhere for $20 and take a photo, send it to you. All right, cool. Now I can pay out my contractor. Yeah. But also, I'm like very upfront with the contractors I do hire with the property management. So, hey, property, because I have the whole system, right? But if I'm just dealing right with contractors, I would be very upfront, be like, hey, I am an out-of-state investor, and I do want weekly progress reports. I'm not going to send you money until I see the work is done and the before and after photos. And we haven't really had to ask for that. Like our HVAC guy, there's a GC, but then we have like all the special guys. So the HVAC, the electrical, they'll take before and after photos without even asking, send to the GC sends it to me, or sends it to the project manager who sends it to me, and then we pay out. So, but there's a million different cheap ways that you can get somebody to go take photos. You can also hire a professional inspector if you want to get really crazy, but that's going to cost you just more money. And you can have an inspector go out there every week, every other week to make sure, and it's only going to be for the first project or two, and then you're going to be comfortable, and then you're going to sit back a little bit more, and the bids are going to get a little bit more clean, and then, yeah. So the first couple projects are scary.
So you don't give them upfront money for material?
Yeah, you do. So normally for our projects, since they're small, it's going to be 50% upfront. For some bigger projects, it'll be 30% upfront. And that's just, you got to take the hit eventually. Yeah. And just making sure that that person is thoroughly vetted and they've answered all your questions and you feel comfortable with moving forward. And that the project manager, whoever's referring them, has used that person in the past. A lot of the contractors that I've hired have done work on the person who referred it. They've done work on that person's personal residence before, and they've done many of projects. So
take time to find out all about the contractor. Take as much time as you need. That's the best thing I could say, is check out his work, all his references, the way he writes an estimate. Does he have insurance? Is he bonded? Take all those steps. It's very important. I know, right. Do they have a website, or, you know, get some of their recent customers, get their phone numbers and talk with them.
Yeah, right. For me, yeah, I asked the property management company, what kind of work has this guy done for you guys before? Yeah, here's some photos of the work that he's done. So it's not even, again, that's you and the contractor, in my opinion, because you can say certain things to the property management company and they can relay that information in a different manner.
Yeah, and see, for me, that wouldn't work. That's just another layer that would not work for the way I operate, okay? Because I like hands-on with the investor or the people that I'm actually working with. I like the hands-on. So two different ways, two different styles, but his style, your style is, you know, absolutely a great way to go to protect yourself. Now, if I had to wait for a management company to say, okay, I can give you $50,000, I would not work for that company ever again, or that investor, because I want to know, if I'm running this job and I'm on a time limit, I want to know I've got X amount of dollars coming in constantly. And the only way we could do that is by photos and updating you constantly. And that's how we progress.
This is a really good topic to get into, because honestly, a lot of investors, they'll start working with the contractor and they're having problems with them, and it's their own fault. And it's like they're new and they're having problems with people. They're like, why I have a shitty contract or whatever. I mean, John, tell these guys why it's good to work with, or at least when we started working together, why was it good to work with me from an investor standpoint? Like, why was I easy to work with?
Well, first of all, Jared said something to me, and he followed, when I first met him, it was something very small, but he followed through on it. and he made good on his word. And from that day forward, we just clicked. I don't know what it was, but we clicked. And anytime I tell Jared we need X amount of dollars, it's always there, and I have it. And our jobs just continuously turn because the money is always there. But we communicate daily, like I said. It doesn't have to be that way with other investors. That's just how Jared and I do things. But there's never a hiccup when it comes to money, ever. My guys do get paid once a week. Subs depends on what they're doing, but my people are paid, and we just keep things rolling. It's constant.
These guys who work for us, I mean, we have almost 10 employees now.
Yeah.
And we probably will have twice as much by the end of the year. Like, they depend on, they're paycheck to paycheck. It is
Yes.
an emergency if they don't get paid.
Right.
It is a real emergency. And so
they're not that bad. I mean, my guys they're not druggies or alcoholics or anything like that. But I mean, that's just the way life is, in Cleveland.
Property management will have that for you, and that's why they get paid to do that. So to deal with the tenant, but also to deal with the tenant's maintenance requests. Maintenance requests will come through at Folio. They'll send it to you and say, hey, this broke at the property. I dispatched contractor. And they have those maintenance handyman on call. And they're driving around all day repairing stuff. It depends. I mean, like, it can be anywhere from 50, the property management company will normally set a budget for you on a per incident basis. So if something is less than $200, they'll just repair it and put it on your bill. If it's more than $200, they'll give you a phone call or email to get approval. So it helps speed up the process. But I mean, most of it's just like the plumbing under the kitchen sink is leaking and they went and had to fix a knob or tighten something. Then they just charge you a drive fee or something like that. And there's no maybe there may not even be material involved, but just someone needed to go and fix something at the property. So it really ranges. It could be $10, it could be $200 or more, depending on what the thing is.
I have a question. Is there a difference in price that property management would charge for single family versus apartments?
Yeah, way different.
Apartments way better.
Yes. Yeah, so property management.
How many units and up would it make sense to get a property management company?
One. Yeah. Yeah, from out of state?
Because they're going to charge you anyways to fix the stuff.
Yeah, but they're just taking the bill and giving it to you.
Then why are they getting paid?
They're getting paid to collect rent, manage the tenants, manage if the lease out. So if the property goes vacant, then they're going to have a contractor go and renovate the property. They're going to retake photos, then they're going to relist it. When the tenant's lease is up, they're going to handle renewals on a monthly basis. The tenant pays.
Well, actually, all property managers have to have their real estate license, right? In most states? Oh, some states? Yeah, somebody in the office has to sign leases and all that other stuff, right? Yeah.
And then
Go ahead.
state also, but I have to say, and I'm not trying to contradict you, Antoine, but it's very different in different places. I have multiple property management companies because I don't believe in long-term relationships with them. When they screw up big time, like twice, they're gone. This is my livelihood and they can't screw with it. And so, but these guys always upcharge me. This one company always upcharges me 25% because they outsource a lot of work. Like a turn, I got a quote from them for $12,500 for a turn, and then somehow accidentally I got the same contractor to go out and give me personally a quote, and it was exactly 25% less. Or it was 10,000 versus 12,500. So they just tack on 25% on top of the bill. And they were upfront. They told me after I confronted them on it, they're like, we upcharge 25% on everything.
So at least they're honest.
Yeah, they were honest, but now they're trying to charge me $10,000 for a bunch of windows. And
Damn.
I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
Good. Do you have a question?
Yeah, but
Do you remember?
can I answer what she said?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
If you got a good property manager, that's the best fucking money you spend. You don't have to think about it. They handle it. I don't want to think about it. I want to worry about my job. It's the best money you spend if you've got somebody good. I've got a lady in Missouri that I wish I could clone and put her all over where my other properties are. and she's worth every penny, and I don't think twice about paying her.
Right.
And I can't wait till Thanksgiving comes around where I can give her some gift cards.
Yeah.
My question that, tapping onto what you said about you guys are probably so busy that you can hire an electrician potentially. This is for you two. How many doors is it going to take for you guys to create your own property management company that it makes worth?
Well,
Or is it not worth it? Not going to be worth it.
Before Antoine goes, I mean, he's in 4 different markets, so like I don't know which one. What are you mostly active in? Memphis? Yeah, yeah. So like, I mean, it's probably easy for you just to stick with the same people because you're not there.
Like
You know?
I just found my property management companies don't do an upcharge. They send me the bill, so I see the invoice, and then the invoice goes to my thing. So I don't have that. The question was,
So like,
Before you do it yourself, I guess.
no, so like you said, I would rather clone the lady. So my property management company is small too, so a lot of weight falls on like 1, 2, or 3 people for the property management company to work. It's not like they have 2,000 doors and it's a whole team of people, right? So for me to bring it in-house, I would probably never do it unless I just bought that. I would just buy the property management company rather, because it's about the people involved. I don't want to go and take a risk and move 300 doors to a new lady I've never worked with.
Have you seriously thought of that with some of your people?
Not yet.
Well, not yet in Memphis, but
Yeah.
yeah. I could see it being a possibility. Yeah, you'd have to have like a couple hundred units, but like it's all about money because we have a handyman. Like I wanted you to like Bob. We have a guy that can finish.
Yeah, he's more than a handyman. He's actually one of our finish carpenters, but he does very well on a punch list, punching out the final phase of a job. Once we have a home inspection, he's extremely good going back and correcting anything that might be on the home inspection, which I like to have a clean report. But there's times where I'm picking up work on some other projects that Jared had with another contractor. We have 38 pages that we have to correct. So Bob is very good at going that. He's got a van. He's got a little bit of everything in his van. He's got everything. He's set up. And I just set him on, if Jared's selling a house or whatever we're doing at the time, he'll go and close it out for us.
While we don't have property management, I think it's, yeah. We have one guy who's like a floater. We don't like, especially John doesn't like pulling guys off properties. We have had guys that have been working the same job for 2 weeks. And when I have my roof that I have to replace because it's on the market and the buyers want a new roof, I'm like, well, I don't really need to do that, but I'm going to do it just to close the deal. Now I have to pull guys or at least get our roofer down there, and that stalls the other job. So I don't like having to pull guys to other stuff. That's why we have certain guys with different skill sets so we can kind of move around a little more than others. But we don't have the capability of collecting rent, but you better believe if we're doing like a 10-unit apartment and 2 or 3 of the tenants are complaining about, stuff, like if we're in charge of that job, yeah, of course we can send, one of our guys in there to do repairs. And typically property management company is probably not going to get involved until, it's tenanted fully. So, there's things that we could do that I could foresee that we would be able to take care of on the job site if we were involved in a multi-unit project. But like, I would never think about bringing in I would just keep working and get that property manager as busy as possible, because it might cost you more money to buy the company rather than to just work with them, because then they got to get salaries and insurance, and God knows if they mess up, then you're liable now because it's your company. So I've definitely felt that on the construction side. So it's a good question, though. Really good question.
Hard to find good handyman.
Yeah.
Very hard.
I just want to add to a comment to part of your question, right, about the property management and what does make sense. So, based off of my education and my mentors and stuff who own much larger properties, and just from my own little analysis, the numbers make more sense for property management at 75 units plus. But when you're out of state, you want it with a lot of people, a lot of times you forget to calculate, even if you have smaller units, it's the cost of going out there, right? Sometimes you will have to turn around maybe family that can help oversee certain things, but when you start adding up the flights to go out to certain places, it's going to end up being more than it would paying the property management company that's right there in the backyard, and it's kind of your job to manage it, to lease it up. I mean, every time you want your tenant calling you, or your tenants, if you have that 5 or 10 unit, calling you every time they got a water leak or the toilet stopped up or something like that. Those are the things you kind
Yeah.
Yeah, usually on the larger units, they kick out at 3 to 4%. On smaller units, they can go up. You probably want to make 18%.
Yeah.
I think 8% is negotiated. That's negotiated. Just ask, hey, can you do something? No, do it.
Good.
Yeah, just when you underwrite, do 10% because if you can underwrite more and end up getting better, that's more in your pocket.
What's the main reason Ohio is less expensive than other states?
Say that one more time.
What's the main reason that Ohio is less expensive than other states?
Well, I'll tell you, the construction is probably more expensive. Construction is way more expensive. We don't have cheap labor. That's the best way I'll put it. We don't have cheaper labor up there. You can't go to Home Depot, pick up 12 guys and have them work, with no paper trail. But I mean, I would say it's a little bit more expensive in Cleveland, but the real estate prices, I mean, Antoine should go through like why cash flow numbers are more attractive, just because the rents way more cover your mortgage than they would in LA. The rents, are about even, and when Antoine can fix up a house and rent it out for $900 and the mortgage is going to be $450, that's what, $450 profit. It's crazy. So making $450 in a house, that's like the goal. That's why people.
I thought Cleveland was on decline because LeBron left.
Yeah, there was temporarily. See, he left for 4 years and then he came back for 3. So.
Browns are on the way up.
Yeah. So.
We should do it.
Yeah, go ahead, Czar.
Sorry, talking about fixes, do you have a capacity, let's say if I buy 5 single-family houses, will you be able to simultaneously handle those projects?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's not a matter of scalability. It's just if the money's there and we trust an investor, John will get the guys there. It's not. I mean, how many people do you know that are ready to go?
I mean, it's not a problem for me to get
So
my
buying
stuff.
5 units at the same time is not going to delay the project.
No, I mean, as long as John has time to go out and estimate the project and give you, the bid on Exactimate, as long as he has time to go out, measure the home, give you the estimate, you're comfortable with it, you go back and forth, you say, okay, these are the materials we're putting in, and we had 5 of those, especially because Antoine does it all the time. I mean, how easy it is for you to buy materials because you're doing the same flooring, same paint, same everything in apartment units. That would be way easier for us, but it just depends on what type of project. I wouldn't feel comfortable if we're going into a bad area, because there are bad areas in Cleveland where I can't send. He has a 2017 Dodge Ram. People are going to mess around, and I've had tools stolen before. I've had subs. I've hired subs who have stolen my general contractor's tools. These guys they don't give a shit. These guys, they don't care. But after a while, you realize where the good areas are, and I will not send that's one thing. I'm very protective. These, they're they're my employees, but I'm very protective of their well-being, and I don't send them into places where I wouldn't, me and my wife wouldn't feel comfortable walking around in the middle of the day. C areas, fine, whatever, not that great, but the C and B areas, B minus, C plus areas in Cleveland, Garfield or Maple, they're really, really good cash flow. So it's very popular for a lot of investing, surprisingly, to be done in those middle of the road areas, blue collar, a lot of blue collar mixed demographic areas. But we're in A, very much A and B neighborhoods doing flips. I'll buy something run through the numbers real quick. The 2 deals that I got this week, one was from a wholesaler for $75,000. It's on a street that I have 5 other properties right around that area. So I sent John there. He estimated it's probably going to be about $45,000 rehab, and it's worth $170,000. I can do those numbers in my head because I'm familiar with the neighborhood. But I don't even remember where I was going with this. But I guess the other property we got was $50,000. It's a short sale, and I got it for $50,000. I'm putting probably $70,000 into it, and it's worth $170,000, $180,000. But it's very street specific. That particular one, the short sale is on Orthodox Jewish area street. There's only 4 streets in Cleveland Heights where the Orthodox live. And it's because the Hebrew school is there. It's very, very street specific. If someone's like, hey, on Bigger Pockets, the big question is hey, what do you think about Cleveland Heights? I'm like, well, there's fucking 8 different areas, and they have so many different demographics and reasons why they're good and why they're bad and why they won't cash flow. But it's, I can find deals there all day because John has gotten familiar with the building department. The housing, they know who we are. They're familiar with us. So it's an important thing to be in an area where you can quickly run numbers and know that things are good deals.
And that was going to be my question. So as far as the investors, what type of involvement does the investor have when it comes down to issues with the city and the headaches that come along with the city? And can you guys touch on the escrow situation that you have on the rehab that you have?
Yeah. So, I mean, if I buy a house in let's say, Shaker Heights has the most stringent escrow requirement, and it's called point of sale. So basically, when you buy a house in Cleveland Heights or Shaker Heights, the city actually imposes upon you, the buyer, to correct these point of sale violations before you sell the house. So if you own a house in Cleveland Heights, but there's like paint flaking off in the front, the city's going to go there and say, well, the buyer is going to have to escrow $1,200 and you have to paint this house, or else you're not going to close, or you have to escrow the money. So until you do those point of sale violations, they're not going to release that escrow money. So it imposes an extra requirement on investors, but it also, for the city, it makes sure that their rehabs aren't done shittily. It makes sure that people can't go in there and just slap a coat of paint on and just sell the house. The city still has to send a housing department. I mean, go ahead and tell them how Ashton went last week, because that's an important. We put $100,000 into this house.
Well, I thought you were talking about
Shaker.
Shaker. Yeah, the way they operate their point of sale is a little bit different. But well, with Cleveland Heights, I think that was 9 pages of violations that we got on that property. The way I look at it, most of the violations are taken care of throughout the renovation of the property. The big things were on this property. They want me to tear the garage down, replace the pad, which means the footers for the garage also. Okay, so now if you have a car and a half garage, now in Cleveland Heights, you have to put up at least a 2-car garage. That's code. So you have to, bigger, better. Now, if there's any cracks in the driveway, they have to be either repaired somehow, or you have to get rid of take them out, put a new driveway in. So when we first got this property, and Jared kept asking, are we going to be okay? Are we going to be okay? But I knew just by looking at the garage that my one guy, he is so good as a framer that we could go in there, repair it, and satisfy the city. And then with the slab, it was really bad.
So I'm showing them the pictures.
Are you showing them pictures? So don't worry about it. So I waited to almost the very end.
Like, the house is under contract. We're closing in 10 days.
But it was weather too. I had weather, but I waited to the end because I knew what I do is I take the inspector in the front door so he sees what we did. He was amazed at the house because he actually did the point of sale. And when they walk in, they see the job that we did inside the house. It's like they forget everything. So when I walked him to the backyard, I says, oh, and by the way, I decided not to tear the garage down, but we repaired it. No problem. He agreed on everything that I did. So instead of spending another $15,000, it cost us about $1,000 to do the driveway, the garage, besides the roof. That was something the owners wanted. But it was I spent about $1,000 instead of $15,000 to save this. But that's just a game that I shouldn't say a game. I just knew how it would work. I know what they'll accept. There was no reason to tear this garage down, and I would have argued the fact why we shouldn't tear it down. And the way we repaired it, when he saw how we repaired all the sill plates, we sistered all new 2x4s, and we made everything sound again. It was structurally fine. So, but we saved a lot of money.
Do you have to deal with point of sale?
Not really, because I have property management. The project manager I hire deals with all the point of sale stuff.
Yeah. So that's the short answer to this question. Like,
right.
The contractor will. You're not going to be calling the city. The contractor's going to be like, hey, can you file this paperwork? No.
Yeah.
The contractor's got to be expected.
It all depends how you set up your team on the ground. So
yeah.
You can be as involved or as little involved as you want to be. I just set it up to be completely passive, and I have somebody on the ground. Yeah, you still have to handle the point of sale. So when you buy a property, you still got to put $30,000 in escrow, which we just did for a project in Maple.
In Maple?
Yeah.
Maple Heights?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
$30,000?
Yeah.
Wow. The houses go for $30,000 there.
Yeah.
It's just wow.
And then, but yeah, it depends how you set up your team, and if you can have somebody on the ground to handle that, yourself, because it's a whole like game you got to play with those guys. And if you have a relationship or have a rapport with the guys who are doing the inspection, you're gonna fly right through the POS inspection. Instead of some guy from California handling it over the phone, giving you a lockbox code, they're gonna be a little bit less friendly.
Yeah, and I think what I've seen our success has, or the little success that we've had, is when we, John meets these inspectors on a daily basis, because when we buy the house, sometimes they're there, and when we sell the house, he's gotten familiarity with these cities so often, so he sees them, they recognize him. They don't know me, but if you're an out-of-state investor, the best thing you could do is probably just fly to the city, walk through the city, get to know the housing department, get to know the building department, shake their hand, look them in the eye, say, hey, my name is Raymond, my name is Rick, I'm an out-of-state investor, but I'm starting to do a project on 123 Main Street, and I just want to introduce myself so I'm familiar with like the codes and what you guys expect. They will respect the hell out of you for that. And if it comes to the end of the inspection, I've made really damn sure, either on the phone, because they've met me on the phone, but they've never met me face to face, but they know John's my guy. Yeah. So when they see John,
I've also met subcontractors there, and that's how I picked up a few, because if you go into the city and you're going to talk to the housing inspector or whoever, there's contractors there pulling permits, and cities are not allowed to give out their cards, at least in our area they can't, but you could sit there and you could talk to the guys. You can, maybe 5 different concrete guys, you can get their card, and if they're going to pull a permit, they're half legit. They've got to be somewhat legit if they're pulling a permit, really right? Yeah. So I mean, that's a start, for everybody going to the city. And if you have to hang out there, you hang out there for a little bit.
Sometimes you have to wait, right?
Sometimes you have to wait.
You have to wait 45 minutes in Mayfield.
Yeah.
So some guys are sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
They're good. They just, it's a process they have to go through. So it's getting. I mean, what time is it, man? It's 8 o'clock. I mean, we have 2 hours to chill. I mean, I had a nice little presentation. We could go through pictures all day, answer questions. Sure.
I feel like you guys touch on, especially you, John, you can kind of just walk us through if we're interviewing contractors, because like I have a list of questions that I ask management companies, right? So, I know who I want based on how they're answering, et cetera, and then my intuition and different things and my connection with them.
Right.
But contractors is completely foreign territory for me, right? I get, you want to make sure they're bonded and insured.
Right.
Things like that. But what are some other really important questions that I should be asking them, and what type of answers should I be looking to hear to know, like, okay, red flag, or okay, yeah, good job.
Oh, God, that's all over. I mean, do you meet them face to face? Is it over the phone, or how do you meet your contractors?
It would be over the phone.
Over the phone.
Ask them if they've worked with investors before.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
How many projects?
What's their capacity?
All right. Do they have a team? Do they have employees? Do they sub everything out?
Can we start tomorrow?
Do they require their subcontractors to have their liability insurance? Do they keep a certificate of liability on their subcontractors? Okay, that's important too, because if you have a general contractor like myself, I have liability insurance. But if I have a sub, the plumber goes in is soldering some copper and burns down like Notre Dame, like they just had over in France or wherever it was. God forbid it was a contractor that did that. My sub has to have insurance, so that's very important. And if he has employees, do they have workers' comp? Just all those basic needs that you have to run a legit company. And then obviously people that he's done work for recently.
Yeah,
Referrals. But that paperwork is very important.
The other thing too is like, I'm an out-of-state investor, how can you keep me updated on the project? So, if they have like an Android that doesn't have a camera on it and they can't send you photos and they need to do all this other stuff, or like my guys have iPhones, so they can just take photos and send it right to me through iMessage. It comes up on my computer. So that kind of little nitty-gritty stuff is just going to save you a lot of time, because a lot of the guys don't even have like an electronic system to send you the bid. They all write it on paper and they take these blurry photos and they try to send it to you, and you can't read it. So yeah. Can you send me an example of your bid? And if it's on it's on their bed and they take a photo. Yeah.
Hey, John, who's responsible for the scope of work? Is that like every investor?
Yeah. Yeah, we're like moving walls and stuff, and yeah, high-end appliances. Yeah. Yeah, like we took out a bedroom and installed. What?
I just don't buy it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a YouTube video I just did. I can send you guys the link. Not on my channel, my other. We're like halfway done with this flip, but we took the entire first floor and did open concept, and all we're gonna have is these 2 columns. But the city had to come in and do like a framing inspection and all this like complicated stuff. So typically with a rental property, you are not doing any of that. I mean, maybe if you really want to like open up the kitchen or whatever, and you have like no, there's no way. There's no point. It's like unless you can raise rents, unless you're raising rents $200, $300, there's no point in doing something specific. So, it's very rehab specific. It's way easier for him to say, I'm gonna just put carpet in if it's a rental. I'm just putting carpet in. But like as a flip, like your realtor is gonna be able to tell you, yeah, buyers expect this. The realtors who deal with buyers and sellers are gonna know, especially in that zip code, that area, what buyers expect. Like this flip we're doing in Shaker, it's like super high end. People are like lawyers and doctors and very successful, and they're kind of more ostentatious. I grew up there, so I know people who went to Shaker Heights are, they're just a little bit more showy, which is fine. And so I know what kind of fixtures to put in. I know to do like blue stuff. People buy that for, so I know I can do some bells and whistles and those like Wi-Fi deadbolts. I can hook up Wi-Fi to Alexa, which hopefully we'll do in that flip. People turn in, hey, turn the lights on, and it's like, oh, sweet. That kind of stuff can only be done. You don't want to over rehab a property. I've definitely done it. Even like Ashton, we probably over rehabbed, but like, each property is unique, especially in these 100-year-old properties. And when you look at a floor plan, there's only so much you can do. If you can't move plumbing, you can't move electric, you can't move certain walls, each room has to make sense. The floor plan just has to make sense. Like when you're doing a flip, you could say all day, like I want the same paint color in all my rooms, I want the same carpet, but like, I'm doing a flip right now, the sale price is $420, as opposed to like, some of these things that are selling at $180, I can go to Home Depot and get everything. And now I'm ordering stuff off House, and House is cool too, by the way. I mean, I started getting like, yeah, we ordered a fucking tub off them, and every single time we get it delivered, there's a, yeah.
2 of them, same crack, same place.
Yeah, so ordering stuff online is tricky, but you get a trade rep there. I'm giving them more chances because House is insane. Like they'll build a whole cart for you. You can get on the phone with them. This girl, she's like my whole trade rep there. I get all sorts of percentage discounts for being a contractor. All you have to do to get a House discount is you send in your liability insurance. They make sure that you're a legitimate company. Boom, you get better discounts than most people would get online for things like, because sometimes I'm calling in like, hey, show me some light fixtures that are really popular. I want them copper. I want them, I want bathroom light fixtures that are copper. And they'll go through and they'll build a cart for you while you're on the phone. Their customer service is really, really good. And their headquarters is here in Irvine. So like, I don't know if you guys have driven past the House building on 405. Yeah. And they're a ridiculously huge company. So if you are ordering like higher end stuff, it's a good place to start. At least to read reviews, make sure that a manufacturer is reputable. Because like this thing, I'll straight up call them out. It's AKDY. They're a really good fixture, like bathroom fixture manufacturer, tubs, faucets, but they're in London, so like sometimes by the time they come to Cleveland Heights, Ohio, the tubs are cracked. So that stuff happens, but they refunded us and they sent us a new tub, and like very, very responsive, and they give you the opportunity to inspect materials, which Home Depot doesn't really do. A lot of the times you get a pallet full of drywall and it's all fucked up on the side, or you're getting paint and it's the wrong color or something. That stuff happens very often, especially when you order stuff at Lowe's and you go to pick it up and they're like, well, wrong size tub, of course. Some guy on the floor just threw the wrong tub on the thing, and now you have to mess with it. But when you call House, they deliver it. There's like little sensors on it to make sure that they're intact, and you actually check the sensor. You sign a form, because usually it's $5,000-7,000 worth of inventory we buy. We buy all the vanities, all the light fixtures, all the tubs, all that at once for a house. And so when John is there, he gets a chance to make sure it's good, and if it's not, he just sends it back. It's pretty easy. So that kind of stuff has been good for us. But again, dude, rental properties, the material list should be very basic. I mean, Antoine, I don't know if you want to go through like a basic material list for like rental properties, but like it's got to be super basic porcelain tile, 12 by 24s that I've seen you do in bathrooms. Super easy stuff to install that's going to be quick, that can be replicated, that you can buy at Home Depot, right? Like, you know, as same paint color, you know.
You know, Jared kind of knows the neighborhood and knows what he should put in to get the ARV. But if you're new too, I would get your realtor to list that property involved in the project as well. So before you even close, before you even buy that property, show him the list that you're going to do and what your vision is for the property, what you're going to put into the property. Then he can give you an accurate ARV or what he thinks he can sell it for. And he'll tell you, no, you need to spend the extra money to put in the hardwood. Or no, you're spending too much, that's not going to help with the ARV. So pull that person in the beginning, and having a realtor on your team out of state, if you are flipping, is going to be key as well. That's going to be your property management if it were the rental side.
A point where like the rehab comes from like pretty easy to difficult, and I would say that point is, can you buy all your shit at Home Depot? If you can't, then, and you're talking about going to like get custom stone cut, and you're getting someone to source your cabinets, you're going to be working with someone who's like, you know, designing cabinets for the first time, you're not really sure if they're good. If they mess up, that's a really big deal because cabinets are expensive. You know, but again, with the realtor too, they'll say, oh, you should finish this basement. It'll be a really good idea. You should refinish this hardwood floor, or we should put laminate over these hardwood floors, which we've done. Sometimes hardwood floors are too messed up to fix up. We just put laminate over it. So those decisions are going to help you with the realtor. But like, if you can buy everything at Home Depot, which I'm looking forward to doing our 3-unit, you know, you just get the cabinets at Home Depot. It's so easy. But like, stuff is wrong, stuff is not placed right, stuff is scratched. A lot of times you'll get stuff at Home Depot that's damaged, and you'll have to go back. And you know, so if you can get everything there without having to like go to House or any sort of like local building supplier for stuff, that's the key. Yeah. In Cleveland, I would say the difference is like when you get to like that 200K mark, when you're doing a house, you flip it for like 180, you can still get, you know, basic cabinets, a basic piece of granite cut. But when you're going above 200, at least in some areas, you're gonna have to go a little bit nicer. Farm sinks, custom, you know, tile in the bathrooms. Not $900 for a farm sink like we did in our Ashton house. Yeah. But the biggest expense that we run into, honestly, I mean, we're buying 100-year-old houses, you know. I mean, Antoine, the majority of the houses you're buying are built from probably late 40s to late 60s, right? Yeah. So they're like similar building codes, similar floor plans, bungalow, like ranch, they're all the same. Like, yeah. So we bought, I mean, there's plaster and lath and, you know, really, really bad basement mold and complete roof tear-offs that just really, once you open them up, there's so many more issues. Like the insulation has mouse shit all over it, and you have to replace all them. There's real stuff that, I mean, we had to exterminate mice at one of our houses last week, and now we're worried about the insulation. So, you know, the problems that we run into in a 100-year-old house are different than, you know, getting and that's the best advice for like a first flip. It's like, just get something built in the 50s where you're just doing kitchens, bathrooms, paint, and you're not going to be dealing with, like, Ashton was built in 1918. You know, Belvoir was built in 65. It's super easy to be over there. So, you know, the year built and the area.
This building I ever worked on was 1867 it was built in. This restaurant had a fire, and it was post and beam. This was about 6-7 years ago I did it. And half the building burned down, so my one guy that still works for me, he's a framer. He was able to incorporate new framing along with the old framing, and we exposed a lot of the old post and beam inside the restaurant diner now, and it turned out really nice. So, I mean, that was an old building to incorporate new construction with it and try to keep the two together and keep the city happy at the same time, but we were able to do it. So that's the oldest building I've ever worked on. About 1867 it was built.